Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another Optc video, and in today's video, we're over here on the global side of the game, taking on the KIZUNA Clash King at level 30 and above. So there is still about, a day and a bit left of KIZUNA, and when we were on stream, we actually put together a couple of, high damage teams. So I thought, once I hit level 30, it'd be a really good time to actually test those teams, and I sort of wanted to show off sort of what teams I have been using, and what changes I will be making moving forward. But with KIZUNA basically not really having that much more of a benefit, and I do want to save my potions for when the Pirate Alliance comes out. Most people should be saving their potions unless you guys need to bolster your accounts or whatever, but once Pirate Alliance comes out, the potions are going to be a lot more valuable, so now's a really good time to stockpile. Now with this KIZUNA, as mentioned in my initial playthrough, it is a bit of an issue because it is the double KIZUNA, which is going to make it hard for most people to get those limit break crystals, and the fact that Sakazuki and Borsalino isn't actually there is a little bit annoying, but unfortunately, look, it is what it is. And with this whole speeding up the global timeline, or whatever they're actually planning on doing, we just have to take it with a grain of salt. So, like I said, in today's video, I do have two teams for you guys in each variation. One for very, very high tickets, and what is working really well for me at the moment, and then showcasing that sort of high damage. I do have two dex variations that I'm going to be showing, but the rest of the ones, I just have one. So with that said, let's dive in. Alright, so for the first teams, we are going to be looking at the strength variation. Now, the first team I have is the point boosted team that I am using. This is what the team looks like. Let's dive in. Moving forward, I will most likely take Montador off this team when it starts getting a little bit too tricky. I'll probably take off Montador, replace Montador with someone like Sugar. That way, Sugar can actually... Oh, shout out to Krubs. Sugar can actually be the leader. I can drop Perospero to the sub spot, and then I'll probably replace Kamizo with someone like Onami. That should work fine. But once we do hit level 30 with the strength variation, the strength variation actually gets Despair, I'm pretty sure. No. It gets defense up. So on the final stage, we will have to deal with 5 turns of defense up. And I think this is the stage that actually has... No, that's the in stage. The in stage has resilience. I'm getting my wires crossed. But on stage 2, we come up against X-Drake. He binds our bottom row. With this particular team and using Perospero, we can easily remove that. But you don't really need to. You can actually just sort of... If you're using one Perospero, you can easily just kill X-Drake there and actually use his special on this turn to get rid of the second lot of bind that King actually inflicts on us. Now, King's actually going to bind our middle row, and then he puts up 5 turns of damage reduction and 5 turns of defense up. I think that middle row bind actually gets increased. I think it was 3 turns initially, and now it is actually 5 turns. So we're going to remove the defensive effects with our Kamizo special. Kamizo is going to give us a chain lock and remove defense up. Perospero is going to give us an attack boost, 2.25, because we are at max HP. We can then use our Sanji Pudding special to remove the damage reduction, and then we've got Kaido to give us a full border orbs and the double damage debuff to the enemy. With Kaido being able to rotate orbs, we can actually utilize the support of Dofi. Now, Dofi's going to get driven characters hitting a lot harder. It's going to give them an orb boost. But with the color affinity, we don't have max color affinity on this particular team, so it's not exactly the most optimal team for damage output. But as you can see, it's not having any issues, and shouldn't have any issues moving towards level 50. But that was the high pick point. That was the high ticket team. Let's move on to the high damage team now. So for the high damage team against the strength variation, we're actually using Sugar as our captain with a friend Perospero. Now this team is obviously very legend heavy base, it is complete legends, but the idea here is to try and output as much damage as we possibly can, and obviously the easiest way to do that is with Sugofest exclusives, as they stereotypically have higher stats and better specials. Now, it's definitely not necessary to be able to do all this damage, to be honest. It really depends on how high in KIZUNA you really want to go. But for you absolute crazy cats out there that are getting fairly high in this KIZUNA, for whatever reason, this is probably the team that you will be looking at. I don't really know if there's any way to make this team any stronger than it actually is, but it's not going to have any issues whatsoever, provided we get around all the debuffs. Now, as I mentioned in the high tickets, you don't actually need to remove the bind against X-Drake here. X-Drake doesn't have that much HP, and you can actually just melt him just with normal attacks, even though Sugar's not giving a full boost to our team, as we are using Sugofest exclusives. Sugar's boost basically will kick in once we turn everyone into bears on the King stage. Now, against King, he's immune to defense up, poison, and delay, but he doesn't have full immunity, which is really, really good. It brings Onami into play, and it also brings Kaido into play. We're going to remove the bind that he gives our middle row with our Perispero special, also giving us an attack buff. We can then use Onami as we are at full HP. She's actually going to remove the immune to defense up and set the defense to 0, as well as giving us a conditional boost, which is really, really nice. We can then use Kaido. Kaido is going to give the double damage and a full border orbs, which is excelente. We have Sanji Pudding here to give us color affinity to everyone except for Kaido. And then we've got Shirasheri. Now, Shirasheri V2 is going to give us a chain buff mechanic, 1.2 times to the chain buff. And then with our Sugar special, we can actually turn everyone into bears. That way we get the 4.5 times captain ability, as well as the super typing to actually give us an orb boost. So that way we have a 2.25 times orb boost and the super typing. And as you can see, literally Sugar just does all the work. And that damage is just going to get higher and higher. And once the last character hits, it is going to do massive, massive damage. Ideally, you want that to be Sanji Pudding because they are boosted. And that way they're outputting heaps and heaps of damage. So that was the quick teams. Let's move on to the next color variation. Moving on to the quick variation now. This is the team that I'm using for like the most amount of ticket drops. I don't think much has changed for this particular team for my compared to my playthrough. But if you guys have Rare Recruit Shirahoshi, the Dex one, is actually a ridiculously good unit. That way you can actually replace a lot of the paralysis removals, as well as the attack down remover, as well as the special bind remover. But with my particular setup, I did initially put V2 VV Becker on this team. I did think V2 VV Becker was actually boosted, very similar to Sanji and Pudding, but lo and behold, they're actually not. But they are still a very good unit, so I decided to swap them on here. But if you need to replace them, you can easily replace them with anyone that removes special blind. As on stage 2, when we come up against Queen, we do get special blinded. With Vivi and Rebecca, we can actually easily remove the special blind, and then we can just take out Queen with our normal attacks, as this whole team is cerebral based. Once we get to the final stage of King, he is going to give us a full border block orbs, 3 turns of attack down. He's also going to lock our orbs and give us 6 turns of paralysis. So we do need a way to get around all of that. And the beautiful thing about bringing Perispero is Perispero can actually remove the 6 turns of paralysis, which is great. We can then switch with our Sanji Pudding to make sure that we are in the Dex variation. Use their special for color affinity, as we are rocking a full cerebral team. We have Montador here. Montador's amazing. He's the free-to-play unit boosted for this event. Removes the attack down, removes the block orbs. And then finally we got Rayleigh for an orb boost and a chain lock. As mentioned with the strength run, this team isn't obviously the most optimal for damage, but it is going to do the job for a little while. With King, he does have a revive mechanic, and he gives us the 3 tap debuff. So if you do have Sugar's a really good option here, because on the revive you get paralysis as well. With the double Perispero setup, we can easily remove that, get an attack boost, and with the carryover of Sanji Pudding, we can keep the color affinity, and with that we can actually take out King. Now this team is going to start struggling probably earlier than the other 2 teams, mainly because of that tap timing, or that extra, like you can only do 3 taps. So when that happens, I'll find a way to make Sugar my captain, and then Bob's your uncle. But let's move on to the high damage team now. Alright, so for the first of the high damage teams against the quick variation, we are rocking a mono cerebral based team. Now, big shout out to Ashanti, otherwise known as Among Us Era. He's very active in my Discord. Big shout out to him. He actually put this team to me in Discord. Actually, it might have been on stream. It might have been on stream, actually. Again, shout out to Kruby for the support. I know you're watching this video, homie, and I appreciate you. He actually put this team to me, and it actually seems very, very strong, and he's going to be doing a lot of damage. We do have Croc here for the chain lock multiply. We have Sugar to get around that tap annoyingness. We do have paralysis removal with Nami and Robin, as well as being able to remove special bind and paralysis with the Shirasheri special. Now, on this particular stage against Queen, this is what I was talking about, where you don't actually need to remove the special bind here, and you can actually just attack. Now, you don't need any specials to take Queen out if you just actually hit your perfects and you're not an absolute spoon like myself. But with the switchability of Sanji Pudding, you can actually give yourself a guaranteed orb. And as you can see, with Sanji Pudding being boosted, they just do a lot of damage, which easily takes out Queen. On the final stage against King, though, he's going to give us normal attacks only. He gives us a full board of block orbs, which he locks. He gives us the 3 turns of attack down and 5 turns of paralysis. So what we want to do here is we actually want to remove the special bind and the attack down with the Shirasheri special on this turn. Then we can give ourselves an orb boost with the Nami and Robin. Now, ideally, you'd probably want to use the Perispero special first, but because I'm a spoon, I didn't, and I'm not going to be at max HP, so I'm actually going to get a lower attack boost, but for 2 turns, which honestly isn't a terrible thing with this particular team, as King does have that revive mechanic. We're then going to use Sanji and Pudding to give us 2 turns of color affinity. We can then use Croc to give us a full board of orbs, as well as give us that chain lock mechanic, which is really, really handy to have. And then we are going to use the Sugar special. Now, Sugar's going to turn everyone into bears, and you know what that means. Because everyone's bears, poor old Kingy boy, he's just going to melt. Now, once King dies on the quick variation, he does have a revive mechanic, and he only lets us tap with 3 units. He also paralyzes our complete team as well. But because we have like multiple turn debuff, like buffs for ourselves, and because we are using Sugar, the paralysis doesn't matter, and we can actually attack with everyone. So it just works out really, really well. So that was the high damage team for the quick variation, but I do have one more team taking down quick, utilizing the big dog, Super Type Zoro. Now for the Zoro team. Now, I was pretty hyped when I actually made this team, but there are some notable supports. We do have support Brûlé and support Luffy Taro, the treasure map rare recruit. So for this particular team, it is a little bit finicky, but it should have a lot of damage output, as Zoro is very, very heavily boosted. But it is a little bit of a strange run. So with this particular team, all of our characters get the cooldowns at the start, which is really, really nice. And Zoro is super typing procs because we do have Nami on the squad. Having Nami just allows us to get that 2 times color affinity boost to our dex units, which is really, really cool. On stage 2 against Queen, though, we are going to have to stall a turn. So Queen's actually going to special bind us, which we can easily remove, obviously, because we are running Zoro. We're then just going to pass a turn, because on the second turn, Queen actually gives us a burn mechanic. Now, the beautiful thing about getting the burn means that we can actually take damage. So we do want to actually hit some perfects here, and ideally, we want to hit at least 3 perfects. Normally because we should have taken 5,000 damage from Queen on like the shot, and then that way we can actually get the 5 times captain from Zoro, and we can do the HP cuts. And as you can see, those HP cuts are just, there's something else. Like, especially on KIZUNA, it is going to help out so much. But the downside here is, on this particular KIZUNA, there is a revive mechanic when it comes to this particular fight against King. Now, against King, he's going to give us 5 turns of paralysis and 3 turns of attack down and block orbs, but with Brûlé, we can remove the block orbs, which is really, really cool. We can then use Gukimaru. Gukimaru is going to give us a full board of Dex orbs, which is fine because it's all matching anyway. We can then give ourselves a nice chunky orb boost with our boy Zoro. We can then use the Kid special to actually throw all of the orbs and get super bomb slots, which is excellent. And with the support of Luffy Taro, we can actually remove the rest of the paralysis, which is really, really nice. Then we have the super type of Zoro for a 2 times color affinity boost, and then with Big Mom, we can actually get a base stat boost as well as a chain lock. And because Zoro gives us so much HP, we just get a lot of extra stats. And with just Zoro here, we actually should just do so much goddamn damage. Yeah, 152 mil just with Zoro. So that other Zoro is going to come in clutch, and he's going to hit pretty damn hard. Now, on the revive, we are going to get 3 turns of paralysis. We should go down to 2 with Nami, but that's the reason that she's here, as well as proccing the super typing. We can also just pop the 2 Zoro, the other Zoro special, the other Zoro super typing, which is really, really cool. And then we can actually use the Nami special. Now, if you guys don't have Zoro, you can easily use Nami as your captain for this particular run, or another really, really good dex leader like Kid would work excellent. Actually, Kid would be higher boost, and then that way you get the orb boost with Nami and the color affinity anyway. So that's another really good option for you guys, but just remember you can only attack with 3 units here, but Zoro just sort of claps that. So that was the Zoro team. I thought it was really, really cool. The amount of damage you can do on that first turn is exceptional, but it is going to struggle with the revive once things get a little bit trickier. So we're going to move on to the int teams now. And onto the final variation now. We are coming up into the Psy variation of King. For this particular setup, we're still running 2 Perisperos, but I'm actually using Halloween Law as my captain. This is the team, these are the supports. Bellamy's pretty much the only notable support. Everything else is stat boosters. But the reason we're actually using Halloween Law as our captain now is that way we actually have access to the super typing. Because, shout out to EROGotic, one of my Yonkos, big shout out to you, brother. Because Dofi is one of the original Shibukai, we can actually get Law super typing with this particular team. So it works really, really well. Plus, this whole team is driven and cerebral based, besides one unit that is Big Mom. But as you can see, with the support, we can easily crack 100,000 HP, and that actually makes Big Mom a lot better, because she gives us a great stat buff. On stage 2, we come up against Jack. He has 4 turns of threshold, so we can easily just remove that by using the Dofi special and the Bellamy support. We're also going to get color affinity as well, which is great. With Law special, we can get an orb boost and carry that into the next room. And we can actually use Perispero special here as well. With Perispero being super effective against all types, it means that we can do a lot of damage on this stage, and Jack just gets absolutely clapped. On the final stage against King, he is a Psy unit that gives us normal attacks only. He is going to give us a full border unfavorable orbs, and after level 30 he actually despairs us, and that's why using Halloween Law as captain is ridiculously strong, because he can just easily remove that despair. However, he does increase to 6 turns of resilience, but with the special of Perispero, we can remove that. Then we can use our Big Mom special. Big Mom is going to give us a 3.5 times chain lock and a 1000 base stat because we do get the support. If you guys don't have the support, don't stress. You'll still have around like 80,000 HP, provided you've limit broken and cotton candied your units. So you can still get a pretty good stat boost here. You do have Law's healing to bring you back up if you, for some reason, took damage from Jack or whatever. But with all of our specials, we got 1.75 times color affinity, a base stat boost, attack boost, orb boost. You name it, this team has got it. And the only character that's not boosted is Big Mom, so ideally you want to start with her first, but as you can see, this team has so much damage that it's going to be good for a very, very long time. This is probably the strongest team with the highest tickets, utilizing both the Perispero and the Montador. So let's move on to the high damage int team now. And for the final team of the video, we are facing, well, we do have the high damage team against Psy. Now, this is what the team looks like, and there is a lot of notable supports here, as well as a lot of very, very good units. Now, we are using Mr. Slam Jam himself, Super Type Katakuri, as our captain, as that way we can actually get the conditional boost. We also have Luffy Boa on this team. Luffy Boa are really good, because no matter what they get their cooldowns, as they do start as a Psy character. Normally, that's a little bit annoying when you are running units that like would be very, very good for the content, but their first form just doesn't get the cooldown, which sort of sucks. But for this particular run, it actually works out really, really well. Against Jack, he has the threshold, and once again, we are going to be utilizing the special of Dofi with the Bellamy support to remove that. And then again, we can use the special of Law to give us an orb boost on this stage and actually carry it into the next stage. So with that, we just have heaps of damage, and we can just easily take out Jack. We are using the Nostra Costello as well for a little bit more damage, as we do hit that 30% threshold. That way we should get the 1.7 times attack boost from our ship. On the final stage against King, he's going to give us normal attacks only. He gives us a full board of unfavorable orbs and 5 turns of despair after sockets, respective to your sockets, obviously. So that's where Rayleigh and Corazon is really, really handy, because we can easily remove that. We then have the Luffy and Boa special. Luffy and Boa are actually going to give us a full border orbs and a 2.25 times color affinity boost. They unfortunately aren't being boosted by Perispero though, so you do actually want to start the chain with them. We are going to use the Perispero special now. That way we can actually get a 2.25 times attack boost. We can then use the Katakuri special to get the 2 times conditional boost, as well as with the Opera support remove the rest of the despair, so that's really, really nice. We then have the Valentine's Nami. Valentine's Nami is going to cut our HP, so that way we get the 5 times captain from Katakuri, as well as the conditional boost, so that way we can do more damage. And with that, all we're pretty much missing here is a base stat boost from someone like Big Mom, but unfortunately we did have to remove the threshold. But I guess you could probably put Big Mom here somewhere, but you're just not really getting that full benefit of the base stats, and you're already getting a chain lock with Nami. So with that, we can just say goodbye to King and just absolutely melt him. So there you guys go. They were my teams for level 30 plus against KIZUNA King. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to go down there and belt the like button for me. And if you are new to the channel, hit that big red subscribe button too. But guys, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Lates.